Mr. Christoph Hoerstel, thank you very much indeed for taking part in this interview.
Thank you very much.
Mr. Hoerstel, first of all, how do you explain the new developments in Syria? Do the terrorist attacks continue there?
Well, as we have heard through many channels, the Western ones, other channels more objective than that, we know that since the Al-Hula massacre, which turned out to be a massacre mainly conducted by the terrorists or insurgents in Syria and not by Syrian security personnel, after that and the official open ending to the truce, which was, by the way, never observed by terrorists or insurgents, we have an immediate upswing of violence in Syria, and it is the way I predicted. This unarmed United Nations military observer mission is just a forerunner for a full-scale military operation. We cannot discuss, we can only speculate today how this military operation will look like and who will conduct it. But one thing is clear, an unarmed mission was not what the U.S. as the main culprit in the whole Syrian show has in mind. And for this reason, Qatar and Saudi Arabia and Turkey paid insurgents and terrorists are not allowed, to leave the Syrian people in peace. Their duty for the money they get is to fight and to kill.
Mr. Hoerstel, why do the Western states, especially the United States, as you mentioned, pursue to overthrow the government of the Syrian President Bashar al-Assad?
There's a variety of reasons. All of them are now quite officially reconfirmed. We had, the ex-foreign minister or head of State Department, Condoleezza Rice, under George W. Bush, the predecessor of Obama, announced in 2008 that democracy will be brought to the region, and if countries view this kind of utterance as a threat, they may be correct. Now, since then, we had a lot of, and beforehand, in the decades before, and a lot of, secret under-the-table work by U.S. agencies and their allies. And in the case of Syria, we have very clear-cut reasons that Syria is an obstacle, obviously, to Israeli aggression in the region. So that is the reason why the U.S. want to install another puppet regime, this time in Syria. And that is the main objective, apart from an objective to, take out the Syrian-Iranian friendship in order to prepare Iran, from the American viewpoint, for an attack by the U.S. and their allies in the region and in NATO. And that means there's a double or triple reason, in fact, to attack Syria the way it was attacked, and that attack went under the table. It was done by, paid insurgents from the outside, from the start. And the unrest in Syria, the unhappiness of parts of the population in Syria with the present government was just misused by these forces and blown up into some kind of, look-alike insurgency, and that is definitely not the case.
The Syrian army, before the start of the operation, tried to empty civilians, delivering civil trucks to carry the civilians out. But terrorists try to keep the population in their homes. What do you think of that, Mr. Hoerstel?
We can imagine with some, battlefield and counterinsurgency experience how this works, The Syrian army is flying helicopter missions over settlements or towns and cities like Homs prior to an operation, one day beforehand. And via loudspeakers, the people are informed there is going to be a mission to clear the city of terrorists and insurgents. And then, the people start running. They start running for buses, for trucks, for their own cars. They just try to make it out of that city as quickly as possible. And then we have these, groups of terrorists and insurgents, and point blank, with weapons directed to the civilians, they push them to stay in the houses, not to leave the town, and they threaten them. And, in case any family cannot take all of its members outside the city in one go, very clearly the insurgents threaten to kill whoever is remaining, be that children, be that ladies, old people, no matter what. They kill these people if they are left behind. As you can understand, some of these families are large. They have maybe just one family car, like a 4 or 5-seater. Then they try to cram 7 people in. Then grandmother and something like this may stay behind. And they know we cannot go. We cannot leave them to be shot by these people. And these are tragedies going on. And then government says, okay, we send trucks, we send buses, we protect them. We try to get you out. But still, there are people trapped in the middle between the two forces. And there are killings right now while we talk in Homs. Until deep in the night, the fighting will continue, and the shelling. And tomorrow at noon, the Syrian forces will go from the shelling to the house-to-house raids and searching. And that will again be bloodshed when the insurgents notice, okay, we can't keep that quarter. We don't want the people to talk about what atrocities we have committed on the population. So they kill whoever they cannot take with them and force with them. So there are tragedies after tragedies while we talk right now going on in Homs.
And one last question, Mr. Hoerstel. In one of your articles, you have mentioned that high-tech weapons from Libya that were Qatar stocks, mainly anti-tank missiles with uranium tips, were transferred from there. How do you explain the role of Qatar and Libya in this regard?
Yeah, the role is unfortunately very clear. We have a complete chaos and disorder now on behalf of U.S. and other Western interests in Libya because they want to get to their oil supplies cheaply. Let's just briefly think about this one. They have made a new pipe in the main ports, and they are bypassing the measuring instruments, so that they are taking out the oil for free right now from Libya. That is so terribly, attractive in these times of expensive oil that they want to maintain the chaos. And in this chaos, all these, weapons stockpiled by Qatar in Libya to support the anti-Gaddafi artificial revolution. They take that stuff out now, and they have shifted it already to Syria, mainly via the Syrian Mediterranean coastline, brought it into Syria, and these missiles, in fact, are highly poisonous for any population because these uranium tips, which melt themselves through the tank metal shields, they, heat up very much, and there's smoke coming out of that, and there's dust, poisonous dust in this smoke, and whoever breathes it in will get these, nano-grade particles inside his body, and nobody can stop these particles from spreading. They break the genetic code. These people who have breathed in this material in will not be able to, give birth to healthy children, and that is a very serious outcome. And we have already measured in the Balkans, in Iraq and Afghanistan, the outcome of this use of this terrible material. But of course, that doesn't disturb the U.S., that doesn't disturb Qatar, Saudi Arabia, or Turkey.
Well, Mr. Christoph Hoerstel, a government and business consultant and also a publicist based in Berlin, Germany. I really appreciate the time. Thank you very much indeed.
Thank you very much.